but he's doing, I think, a lot better at DH. And now you want to ask him, well, we have an open spot at first base. Do you want to potentially go there? And no, I think that Rafi's actually, there's a lot of people like, oh, like he's not a team player, this and that. Like, it was hard enough for him to kind of move from one to another, specifically to be a DH. And now he's comfortable there. Hello, everyone. This is Ben Kruse coming to you guys from Hitting for the Cycle, episode 68, alongside my co-host, Ryan Touhey. Ryan, we missed last week's episode, and we're back for another week this week. So, my friend, how are you doing? I bet you are doing a lot better than I am right now with the Knicks-Celtics series. I know, obviously, yeah, I mean, I could take it to you, my friend, but those two games were tough. This is a baseball show, but Ryan's a Knicks fan and I'm a Celtics fan, so that's obviously kind of going on right now. So we're kind of having a rivalry in another sport right now that Ryan is currently winning in. But outside of that, I'm doing well.
I'm doing fine myself. Like you said, go Knicks, up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference semifinals. With two incredible comeback wins from large deficits late in the games. Literally were almost the exact same thing happened in games 1 and 2. It was kind of scary, honestly, if you really think about it. But yes, I am a Knicks fan. I'm not really into the NBA, to be perfectly honest with you. But if the Knicks are doing well, I will root for them. It's still not even close to being over. So I got to win 2 more games, and the series is going to Madison Square Garden for Game 3 tonight. So we'll see if the Knicks can. Tomorrow,
3:30.
3:30 tomorrow.
Which is weird. They like 3:30 instead of 8:30. You don't want to put it MSG on prime time, but
yeah, it's kind of strange for a Friday night. It's kind of weird, but anyways, Game 3 is tomorrow between the Knicks and the Celtics. Obviously, pretty much at this point, must win for the Celtics. You don't want to fall behind 3-0. But who knows?
Unless they go the 0-4 path, which I know would haunt New York fans.
I'm hoping that won't happen. But we'll see. I mean, but go New York, go.
There you go. All right. So what also is going to go is making sure that you guys follow us on all of our social media platforms. Right down here on the ticker bar below, on Hitting for the Cycle at HFTC ETB on the Empty the Bench Network on ETB Network. Make sure to subscribe to Empty the Bench Podcast Network on YouTube. Follow Ryan Touhey at R2E97. Also follow me on X at Ben Kruse144 if you want to see more of my reaction to the Celtics blowing 20-point leads. You guys can follow, of course, me on that and other stuff, including this show. Also following Hitting for the Cycle at HFTC ETB. Also make sure to follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/ETB Network. Of course, you guys want to listen to us on the go. We have that for you guys. Listen to Hitting for the Cycle wherever you guys may get your podcasts. And of course, Hitting for the Cycle is presented by Playback. Ryan, we've gotten the chance to really see a lot of baseball on Playback. We would, of course, I know you obviously work a lot at night, so of course it's tough for you. But whenever you get the chance to even come watch even for a little bit, it's awesome so far. What the MLB has been able to do on Playback. I know there's like the 4 screeners right now that we've been able to watch a lot of these games. So thanks to Playback, they've been able to do it, and we will get these games in live time, and people can come in and react to these games as well too. So it's been a lot of fun. And hopefully whenever you get the chance, so I know obviously you're busy working and stuff at night, but whenever you get the chance to come join us as well on Playback, if you ever get the chance to as well. Great stuff. Also make sure to see specifically the read later on in the show. All right, next is going to be our show, and that's going to be starting with the Pittsburgh Pirates firing their manager, Derek Shelton. So, Ryan, my friend, I'm going to take it to you. What are some of the latest with this firing that the Pirates decided to make?
Well, I can't say that I'm surprised that the Pirates made this move. I mean, the Pirates Another year, same old story. Another year, another tough start for this organization that just can never seem to get its footing back on track. And Derek Shelton is out of the Pirates managerial position after 6 seasons at the helm, steering the Jolly Roger. And unfortunately, the Jolly Roger sank to the bottom of the ocean with him at the helm. Shelton's overall record for managing the Pirates is not impressive at all. 306 wins, 440 losses. Not a winning season in sight. His telescope could not find a winning season for the Pirates. The Pirates consistently finish at the bottom of the National League Central. 3 last place finishes in the National League Central 2020, 2021, last year. 2 100 loss seasons in 21 and 22. The Pirates really just went nowhere with him. And the Pirates, it's really just an organizational thing, I think, at this point. I think the Pirates really need to start from the ground up. They really need to clean house, and they really need to start all over again for the 1,000th time. This organization really has been probably in the past 30 years the most frustrating organization in Major League Baseball. They've rarely had any winning seasons. I think they've had only 3 winning seasons since 1993, something like that. I think those winning seasons were like 2012, 2013, and 2014. I think those were the winning seasons that they had. It was like the mid 2010s. I can double check. I'll double check their records when I get the chance. But regardless, the Pirates made the announcement on Wednesday, I believe, that Derek Shelton was fired, and Pirates general manager. I'm reading this off of Sports Illustrated by Dominic Campbell. He said the general manager of the Pirates, Ben Cherington, said, ultimately, I made a recommendation to Bob Nutting and Travis Williams that we make this change. Bob supported that recommendation, and that all happened in really over the course of yesterday, and I met with Derek this morning. And, I remember earlier this season, at the beginning of April, when the Yankees went to Pittsburgh for Pittsburgh's home opener, the crowd was not happy. They were chanting, "Sell the team." And, it's been this way for years now with the Pirates. This was once a proud organization. The Pirates were a perennial contender, from the 60s to the 70s. They were always one of the top teams in the National League and in Major League Baseball. Then they went through a dry spout in the 80s, and then got back to contention with the emergence of Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonilla, got them back to respectability in the late 80s and early 90s. And once Barry Bonds left for San Francisco, this organization just went down the toilet, and it's never really been the same since. They have not been able to find a consistent perennial superstar. I guess Andrew McCutchen has been that guy, but he's never had a good supporting cast around him. You need more than one player, and the Pirates have had some other good players here and there, and they have had a couple winning seasons. They finally ended their losing season record drought in 2012 when they had a winning record. Let me just quickly look up the Pirates' winning record. But if you want to provide your insight on this, Ben, why don't you do that?
Yeah, you pretty much said a lot of what I was going to pretty much say, and that's just the Pirates they deserve better. Their ballpark is absolutely fantastic. I got the chance to go see it a couple of years ago, and it just sucks that they don't. I mean, their ownership is extremely cheap, and you burn in your rotation when you look at it has 3 really good top pitchers. I know you obviously have Skeens, who they drafted, and I think that was kind of a grabber. At least you're getting one of the best pitchers in the game at a young age. But who knows if they extend him long term because of their ownership group. They have to extend him. Because if they don't extend him, they're not going to extend anyone. It's probably the best overall Pirates player that has been there, in years. So the Pirates had to make a change. They're 1-9 in their last 10. I was looking at what they were doing, honestly, when you were talking, because I knew they weren't doing well, but they're not scoring a lot. They're a younger type of team, and I just don't know, Ryan, just firing this type of guy, how much change really for a team it's going to do. I mean, maybe to an extent, kind of sometimes after you fire somebody, there might be a little bit of a light under the fire to, um, play a little bit better, but just they don't really have enough. And I know the Shelton thing was probably overdue. But you look at like Clint Hurdle, right? The Pirates, I feel like, are just going to keep on going cycle after cycle with like guys, for a short stretch, about a couple of years, and then they'll probably fire that guy out because their ownership group just doesn't invest. So there's really nothing that they can do, and there's always seems to be a scapegoat. Typically, the scapegoat's going to become the manager or the front office. So it's just an awful situation.
Yeah, and I was looking up the Pirates records over the past 30 years, and they've only had 4 winning seasons since 1993. They had they had a losing season every year from 1993 to 2012, and that's a long freaking time. That's 20 straight seasons of losing. They finally broke that trend in 2013 when they won 94-68, and they won the wild card game that season against Cincinnati, and they fell to the Cardinals in the NLDS that year. They won 88-74 in 2014, returning to the wild card game against the Giants. Unfortunately, they got embarrassed by the Giants in that wild card game, losing 8-0 on their home soil. They won 98-64 in 2015. And again, made it to the wild card game facing the Cubs, but the Cubs beat them that year. And then they went back to losing in 2016 and 17. Then won 82-79 in 2018, but didn't sniff the playoffs. And it's just been losing ever since. That's it. That's what the Pirates have to show for their fans. And I really don't know what the Pirates are going to do from here. Okay, you fire Derek Shelton. Great. Now what? But what's the plan here? Who's going to, what? It's going to be, you're going to need to do a lot more than fire Derek Shelton. And like I said, the Pirates are probably the most infuriating baseball team in the past 30 years. I mean, a lot of teams, get crap from fan bases for their lack of success. And the Pirates are right there, and for good reason. Like you mentioned, their ownership group just has not really put in the effort to build a contending team. And the fans deserve better for a team and a fan base that has probably the best ballpark or the most beautiful ballpark in all of the major leagues. To put this product on the field on a yearly basis is a disgrace. And the Pirates should be ashamed of themselves. They really should.
Yeah, I shouldn't be laughing because it's just that bad. But before we get into the next topic, I just wanted to quickly look at the key points of the Derek Shelton tenure. So one of the things that Shelton was supposed to do was to rebuild a winning culture. Obviously, that didn't happen. Another thing that he was going to try to do was the challenges of player development. So, of course, the Pirates traded away established players like Joe Musgrove, Josh Bell, Jameson Taillon, for example, to acquire prospects that would lead him to a period of inconsistent play in a challenging environment for Shelton. The next of them would be progressing in 2023. So the team made some progress in 2023, winning 76 games, and it was a playoff contention until a later season swoon. The next thing would be a poor start to 2025. So the Pirates started the season in 2025 with a 12-26 record, which of course is this year, which of course led to the Shelton dismissal. He also never had a playoff appearance. Apparently, there was criticism of player execution in terms of elevating against them. So, yeah, I mean, they decided to make a change. But like you said, I don't really know how much of the change is really going to literally win for them now. They just don't have the roster to compete. It's sad. It really is sad. As simple as that. And I think the number one thing, if you're not going to be good, at least extend your players that are good, and that's Paul Skeens.
Well, is he going to even want to be hired for his entire career? This is the direction the organization is going in.
Right. And we could talk about that another time, but that's definitely a good point. And what's also a good point that we have to make is, unfortunately, another thing with Rafael Devers. Um, I didn't really get to see this drama case until after I was grocery shopping last night, and I looked at the fact, and I looked at my phone, and I said, "You have got to be kidding me." Um, well, I could, actually, I saw a little bit at work. I really just want to kind of move past it, but after grocery shopping, I said, I gotta look more into this. So after the game, the Red Sox win against the Texas Rangers. The media apparently asked Rafael Devers. So right now, and we're going to talk about Tristan Casas in a little bit, but Tristan Casas is unfortunately done for the season, and so the Red Sox really don't have a first baseman. So what the biggest talks right now is to try to get up some of the Red Sox big three guys who are absolutely raking right now, and that's Marcelo Mayer and Roman Anthony, and maybe have maybe a guy like Roman Anthony come up to play first base, or Marcelo Mayer to come up. Maybe he can obviously have some playing time. Because right now, Ryan, your first basemen for the Boston Red Sox are not your long-term answers. That's Abraham Toro and that's Romy Gonzalez. I think that they are probably great people. I think that they probably can play the position for maybe half a season. They're not long-term answers. You can criticize Tristan Casas all you want for his poor play, but he is by far their best option, by far. So the Red Sox are kind of in, limbo right now. And one of the biggest things was, well, Masataka Yoshida could be able to hit right now. I was actually at the game on Sunday against the Twins. Masataka Yoshida, I was seeing him warming up with his trainer right on the right field line. It seems like he still is a little bit of ways from his throwing. He was playing long toss, but he was doing a lot of this when I was at the game to his trainer. So I don't know if he's ready to do that, but he can hit. And right now with the Red Sox inconsistent play, Alex Cora and Craig Bressel have been talking about, we want to put the best players on the field to have a good product for the overall team. I just feel like right now that's not all coming to fruition because you're not playing Masataka Yoshida, who was ready to hit. I mean, I think that we really need to have him in the mid parts of the back end of the lineup. So pretty much all that said, Rafael Devers, they asked about him going to first base, and he basically said, no, I don't want to go change specifically another position after essentially you guys forced me out of playing third base to be DH. And I think early on, Ryan, we of course talked about Rafael Devers part one early on this season, in which he had an abysmal start. And I think there was a lot of questions of, well, was it him kind of moving positions here and there? Now, obviously, Rafi's doing a lot better. I think he's been a lot more consistent. He's batting 255, hit a homer yesterday. He's definitely more of the Rafael Devers that we know and love. And I even feel like he hasn't even taken off yet specifically, which I think is a good thing for Sox fans. But he's doing, I think, a lot better at DH. And now you want to ask him, well, we have an open spot at first base. Do you want to potentially go there? And no, I think that Rafi's actually – there's a lot of people like, oh, like he's not a team player, this and that. Like, it was hard enough for him to kind of move from one to another, specifically to be a DH. And now he's comfortable there. Right. Rafi now has a certain spot in the dugout that he basically just chills out when he is not batting. It's the most hilarious thing ever. And it's been working. So why essentially are they trying to kind of change things up? And I also think right now, too, is Alex Cora and Craig Breslow, I don't think that the message is clearly sent about Rafi when it's coming to the long-term vision. Right now, I think Rafi is basically saying, I want the Red Sox to go out and get a first baseman for the time being, and which they should. That's what they should right now because they don't have their long-term answer, and even a short-term answer they don't have right now. So I think that Rafi's like, yeah, I'm not switching. I think Alex Cora say, yeah, I'm not switching. So there's, I think, a lot of this to it, but I think obviously the drama, of course, wouldn't have occurred if it wasn't for the Tristan Casas injury.
Well, I mean, it certainly exacerbated things. I mean, let's be real. Devers has been a headache for the Red Sox this season, going back to spring training with the Red Sox bringing in Alex Bregman, who's been amazing for the Red Sox. The Red Sox wouldn't even be within reaching distance of first place in the American League East right now if they didn't have Alex Bregman with them. He definitely transformed that offense, and he definitely provided a much-needed stable bat in that lineup. So right now that's looking like a really good deal that the Red Sox were able to do this offseason. And, Devers obviously wasn't thrilled about relinquishing third base to Bregman. But, and he got off to that really bad start at the beginning of the season, like you mentioned. And he really it's been a very strange season for Rafael Devers. I mean, the Red Sox are doing everything they can. I mean, and I go back to last year. Remember when we were talking, when we started working together on the show last year, and we were talking about Devers in spring training, and he was criticizing the front office for not doing more to try and put together a winning team. Now here they are.
He wasn't wrong, though.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that's what they did this offseason. They went out and got Bregman. They went out and made the trade with the White Sox to get Garrett Crochet. They got Walker Buehler. So you can't tell me that they didn't put in their best efforts to try and improve the team this season. And here you are a little more concerned with yourself than you are with the team. You sign that big extension, because you want to be here for the rest of your career. Great, you're the face of the franchise now. So, if that's the case, you kind of got to let your ego go a little bit here, and you got to be a team guy, and you got to do what's best for the team. That's kind of the point that I'm trying to make here about Rafael Devers. Devers is a great player, don't get me wrong. And honestly, I think he's an underrated fielder. People said he was bad at third base. I never really saw that. I always thought he was a pretty solid third baseman, and I'm sure it wasn't easy for him to give that up. But, this is a team sport, and if you want to go farthest in baseball, you got to set aside your personal goals, and you got to do what you think is best. I mean, if it requires you getting out of your comfort zone and doing things that you don't necessarily want to do, then suck it up and so be it. So I mean, Devers, I think, is just giving the Red Sox too much of a headache this season. I think he's got to suck it up a little bit more and just play ball. And I can understand him being the longest tenured member of the Red Sox and the face of the franchise, that he has more say than anybody on the team to get what he wants. But still, that he's got to stop this. He really does.
No, I get it. I think that he has crossed the line from time to time, but I think it's a two-way street because the ownership group didn't invest. For at least after kind of Mookie left and Xander left. The team never really invested with him kind of being the forefront franchise player. So it's a two-way street because I think that he's basically showing signs like, listen, we got to improve the ball club now, right? And that was obviously before kind of a lot of this drama kind of happened. So he had the point there. He had a point because the Red Sox were clearly underachieving for a very top baseball city that has high expectations. And the ownership group just was not spending. It was just clearly not spending. So Rafi was in the say of yes. That's essentially what you should be hearing from a franchise player. Like, listen, like I can't do it all. Like I need to have specifically guys to improve this team. And, obviously with the Alex Bregman thing coming in, they improved the team with defense. One of the biggest things for the Red Sox was they wanted to improve their defense because it's been absolutely atrocious within the last couple of years, at least in the second half. And that's been one of the key reasons why we haven't been able to make the playoffs because of that. Alex Cora has also emphasized that massively. You also needed pitching. Well, like you mentioned, Ryan, the Red Sox went out and got one of the most premier guys in the market, Garrett Crochet. You also added Aroldis Chapman, which, by the way, Ryan, Aroldis Chapman so far, I mean, I do not want to jinx it one bit. But I think he has been more awesome than not so far with the team. I've been feeling really, really comfortable right now with Chapman overall. So far, so good. Like I said, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch specifically because I know it'll happen at some point. But so far, so good. They had Liam Hendricks now back in the bullpen. And then of course, you got your wish. Well, not really your wish, but you really had to kind of get the wish specifically to go to DH from the front office to make the team better. But now it's kind of crossing the line in terms of like, okay, if we want to put our best team out forward, Ryan, right? Be a team player. Be a team player. But I also respect Rafi because Rafi is still standing strong to the stance of, well, okay, if you guys want me to start changing positions left and right now, look at what happened from a couple of years ago when you never invested in the team. So it's a two-way street. He's essentially looking at that still from a couple of years ago. He never forgot that. And now essentially it's like, okay, so I really want to be a team player, but I remember essentially how you treated me from a couple of years ago. So I get specifically what you're mentioning, and I 100% understand. Rafi is completely sometimes being selfish in the say, but also there was a backstory to this in which he was not promised you.
Oh yeah, I understand that. I mean, the Red Sox ownership, it took the Red Sox ownership long enough to wake up and start going out and acting like the Red Sox. So I get that. But, the Red Sox are still, paying him a lot of money to lead this team. And Devers has to lead by example. And that's basically what I'm trying to say, I guess, more than anything else.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Red Sox, they've been playing a little better in recent days, like you mentioned, but they've still kind of been up and down for the most part this season. So they still haven't necessarily found their footing. They're still trying to find themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still early. But they got to start finding some consistency here. We're already almost in the middle of May now, and this is the time of year where you can start seeing who's going to be a contender and who's not. Around this time.
Hitting for the Cycle is presented by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much of our time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators can hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience. From playing fantasy sports, repping your favorite players and teams, and watching with the commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoyed together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/CTB Network to find out more, including our live stream schedule. And now back to the show. Well, that's actually a perfect transition, Ryan, because
that was deliberate.
We're getting now into the biggest takeaways and surprises from the first month of the season. Obviously, we're now in the month of May, Ryan, too, because, of course, we didn't have an episode last week. So now, like you mentioned, May is kind of the time of where, I'm obviously contenders and pretenders at this point in time are not out of reach, because I think that the American League this year is a little more weaker. So I think that there's going to be a lot more teams that are going to be kind of in the mix, especially in like the wild card right now. I'm just kind of looking at it right now. But, there's a couple teams that are like, kind of that first, remember that overreaction weekend where it's like the White Sox or whatever, like won their first weekend. Now it's like, so there's some teams that are kind of like, all right, like we kind of expected what was going to happen, back to normal type of things. So, and then of course, after this, we can kind of go into kind of the current standings and just kind of currently, the team reports that we have currently with our teams. But my biggest takeaways so far, and I don't really know if it's really a surprise or not, but I just expected so much more, is that the Baltimore Orioles are 13-23. They're 10 games back of 500. I thought that, for first couple of weeks, losing Corbin Burns was going to hurt. Their pitching obviously, wasn't going to be great, but I didn't expect it to be this bad either. I thought that they'd be kind of in the middle of the pack, probably like fourth place, third place. And who knows, maybe they can kind of get there. But their offense, Ryan, has been struggling also, which was definitely a surprise to me because at least with Baltimore, right now they're 7.5 back, they're 3-7. They're not only, they're losing a lot of games, not only losing that, but they're not scoring either. I think that, we're talking about, the firing manager, Derek Shelton. A lot of Oriole fans want Brandon Hyde fired. This has been kind of something that's been overdue for a while for them, but it's been kind of overruled by their play. And, of course, getting Corbin Burns, Michael Elias obviously investing, and, of course, Jackson Holliday, Gunnar Henderson. Adley Rutschman has had a really tough start. So, I know that you guys lost a series to the Orioles, but obviously, all in all, teams obviously lose series to bad teams. Heck, we were the first team to lose a series to the White Sox. So, I mean, that's baseball for you. But the big picture is the Orioles are not playing well at all. And one of my shocking teams so far, Ryan, and I don't really know if it's shocking per se, but I don't know how much it's going to be able to be more consistent, is the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers are 18-20. We just played them just recently, and they're not hitting either. For a team specifically, I thought would be a lot better than they are. They are not hitting. Jock Peterson is starting a little bit, but he was one of the worst in the league for a long, long period of time. So yeah, that's not good. And then my team that's really on the high right now, um, I'm gonna go with the Giants. Giants are 24-14. They're in third place. They're only a game back, and I think the Giants were going to be a decent team, but they're getting a lot of production. I think that the Giants can have a really good case this year of making the playoffs. So let's come over our reactions from like the first month. I know the Braves. I was going to say like the Braves struggling, but the Braves have been playing much better after just getting off to a abysmal start. They're 6-4 in their last 10, and they're 18-19, so they're in third place. And the Marlins are 14-22, so they're kind of back to reality now too. So like we talked about, May and June are kind of the months where you can kind of see it's more of the reality month, in terms of for some teams, and just like, okay, like, look at a team like the White Sox. Yeah, we know reality. They suck. So like, we're not surprised.
Yeah, well, to touch on some of the teams that you brought up. Yeah, the Orioles and the Rangers, two teams that people thought would be strong contenders going into this season, have completely just fell flat on their faces. And it's just strange because, their biggest strengths over the past couple of seasons have turned into their biggest weaknesses right now. I mean, the Rangers and the Orioles, back to back are the fifth and sixth worst offenses in all of Major League Baseball right now. The Orioles are the fifth worst offense. The Rangers are the sixth worst offense. The Orioles have a team batting average of 227. The Rangers have a team batting average of 232. That is real. Like the Rangers, especially, that is really shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, I went into this season obviously very critical of the Orioles, and I'm not surprised that they're struggling. And
Are you surprised about their offense though?
I'm kind of surprised with their offense a little bit. I mean, it's very disappointing to see Rushman struggling at the level he's struggling at right now. And I mean, Gunnar Henderson hasn't really got it going either. And I don't know if he's ever maybe completely healed from that intercostal muscle pull that he had in spring training. Maybe that's still bothering him. I don't know. That's just speculation. But
Mullins is probably their best hitter, and who's our leadoff hitter?
Who, Mullins?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, he got off to a bad start last year, so I mean, he's going to make up for it this year. But the Orioles also have no pitching at all either. So it's just been a disastrous season for the Orioles. And it's just very disappointing, too, because they got this new ownership group that came in just a couple of years ago, and they're, saying, hey, here we are. We're gonna really start to put together a winning culture and foundation. And they ain't do squat this offseason. So I don't even know what to think. I don't know what to think anymore. And Mike Elias, really did a lot to try and get this team back to respectability. I mean, the Orioles were god-awful for so many years. In the late 2010s, early 2020s, some of the worst baseball teams you'd ever see in your life. They finally get back to respectability in 22, and obviously win the division in 23, get back to the playoffs in 24, and I know they didn't do anything in the playoffs both times. So, but the Orioles obviously are not in the biggest market in the country. So, I know they rely more on their farm system than they do on free agents. But still, I mean, if you bring in a new ownership group specifically to try and spend money and try and acquire some superstars, then do it. Don't just don't run around in circles. Don't beat around the bush. Do it. I mean, like
Seattle.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And in all honesty, right now, I'm kind of done with the Orioles. I don't really care about them anymore. I don't think I mean, until they start winning some games and they start putting some fear into me and other teams in our division, I don't give a crap about the Orioles. I know they took 2 out of 3 from us. Congratulations. I guess they were due for a series win at home at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, and also we just haven't played well against the Orioles for the past couple of seasons in general. But yeah, I'm kind of done with them. The Rangers, very disappointing season overall. The Rangers have a lot of sluggers in that lineup, but let's be real, a lot of these sluggers are overrated. Adolis Garcia is extremely overrated. Jock Peterson, like you mentioned, just a disaster all the way around. Corey Seager, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know how many games he's going to see on the field every year. And, I mean, the Rangers they do have pop in their lineup, and they do have some good hitters, but they're too streaky for my liking at this point. And, it's a shame because I thought highly of the Rangers going into the season, and it's still early. They can turn it around, but I don't know. I mean, if they continue to play like this, I mean, like I said, it's already, close to the middle of May. If they keep it up, then I'm kind of going to lose hope for them I'm going to lose hope for them too. One team that has really stood out to me from the American League, the Detroit Tigers. Going into this season, when doing our preseason predictions, I actually picked the Tigers to win the Central, and I took it with a grain of salt. But I took it with a grain of salt because you never knew if they kind of overachieved. But I still picked them, and they have just been on a rampage. They have the best record in the American League right now. They've won 4 straight. Granted, they just swept the Rockies, who I'm actually going to talk about in a couple of seconds here.
Okay.
But the Tigers have the best batting average in Major League Baseball right now, team-wise, at 262. They're with a 335 on-base percentage and a 759 OPS. Their pitching's been pretty solid, too. And the Tigers are looking legit. They're showing that last year was not a fluke. And
how about Javi? Javi Baez resurgence.
Yeah, where the hell did that come from?
Right.
And you know who else is playing well? Gleyber Torres. Shocker.
Well, good for Gleyber.
He leaves New York, goes to a new team like anybody else, and he takes off. Tommy Kahnle, of course, the same thing. Leaves New York, goes to another team, plays great baseball. Same old song and dance. I don't know if that has to do with the coaching staff of the Yankees for not teaching these guys the proper way to play baseball, or the fact that these guys get so scared of criticism from fans that they just are too scared to take the field in fear of messing up again. Maybe a combination of both. I don't know. But regardless, the Tigers are looking good. They are looking strong, and they're looking like a legitimate threat in the American League and in Major League Baseball. So if you're facing the Tigers, good luck, because they're a pretty strong team right now, and they got a lot of young players who can hit, field, run. I mean, this team looks good, and their fan base has really caught on. They're starting to travel a lot more when the team is on the road, and the Tigers looks like they're bringing back the days of the late 2000s, early 2010s when they were perennial contenders. So it looks like the Tigers are back on the rise and are back to contending for the American League Central Division Championship hopefully for a while, because the Tigers went through a long drought of not making the playoffs. So we'll see if they keep it up. But yeah, if you can't really complain very much right now if you're a Tigers fan. So good to see them get back to respectability. And like I said, they swept the Rockies. I'm going to talk about the Rockies here. The Rockies are absolutely god-freaking awful. They're giving the White Sox of last year a run for their money at dubious immortality.
It's impressive, yeah.
They are on pace to surpassing the White Sox loss record of last year. The White Sox last year, as we all know, went 41 and 121, surpassing the 1962 New York Mets for most losses in a season in the modern era of baseball. And the Rockies are well on their pace to doing that. They are sporting an embarrassingly dismal record of 6 freaking wins and 31 losses.
That's impressive, man. Talk about a great season you're having if you're 6-31. No.
We all knew the Rockies were bad going into this season. There was no doubt, especially in that division. Everybody knew the Rockies were going to be in for a long season. But to see them at 6-31, if I'm Bud Black, I'm honestly considering sneaking a bottle of whiskey or Jack Daniels in the dugout every night because I can't bear to watch this horror show on a nightly basis.
Well, did you see what Kyle Freeland said the other day? I literally saw it when I woke up. He was like emotional of like the media and said he's like Rockies fans, we'll turn it around.
He just needs to say something before the Rocky fans come running at the team with pitchforks and fire torches. They're gonna burn down Coors Field. And
I think he's right too that you got to go visit the Rockies stadium this year, right before they might have their worst arguable season in team history.
Maybe I jinxed them. I don't know, but I mean, that was the only thing that could have made the trip better is if I got to see a game there. But maybe I got spared from watching some pretty bad baseball too at the same time.
That's true.
I don't know if this team could be. I don't even know if this Rockies team could beat a Division I college baseball team. I really don't. They are that freaking bad. And to add injury to insult, Chris Bryant's hurt again for the 1,000th time.
Making a run with Anthony Rendon.
I still think Rendon is way worse.
That's true.
But still, I mean, the Rockies are a lot like the Pirates, just a very irrelevant franchise that just has not done. I mean, at least the Pirates have some history to look back on with great players and championships. There's really nothing for the Rockies to look back on. They had one good season in 2007.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all they got to show for it. I mean, ever since the Rockies broke into Major League Baseball, they've essentially been utterly just pointless. They're kind of an irrelevant franchise. And, I mean, as nice of a field as Coors Field is, and as I guess the Rockies have nice uniforms too, there's just like –
and the Rocky Mountains.
In the Rocky Mountains. You play in a beautiful state. Like, this team is just so who could ever give a crap about the Colorado Rockies? So,
and their Double-A team is in my state, so maybe the ballpark is like 40 minutes away, so maybe just maybe they might have some stuff coming up, but I would have to check it out. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. I didn't even want to mention it because I had a feeling you would. And we talked about the Pirates firing their manager. The Pirates have double the amount of wins than this team, which is just absolutely insane. So, but yeah, really quickly, Ryan, our team reports. So, of course, I know last week, I'm not going to get into last week specifically because, of course, we missed last week. But I guess I'll start with my Red Sox. So you talked about the Red Sox being inconsistent, and you're 100% right. They definitely, I feel like, are underachieving in terms of what their expectations are so far, but they're still in it. They're in the mix. They're kind of like last year, the first couple months were just very, very up and down. So they played at Toronto. In their last road trip, they played Toronto, and they absolutely went hammered on 10 runs in a 10-2 victory in their first game. Then the second game happened, and the Red Sox blew I think it was a 6-0 lead, I'm pretty sure. It was I was by far the worst game so far this season. 6-0 in the top of the sixth inning. And then Lucas Giolito actually made his season debut for the team. He was pitching great. He was going until the sixth inning. He had 2 outs on George Springer, and George Springer walked. So at that point in time, it's like, whatever, he walked him. And then it turned into a 2-run homer by Dalton Varsho, made it 6-2. Next guy up, Alejandro Kirk, back-to-back 6-3. So it's like, all right, now it's kind of a game now. Anthony Santander, next inning, got to the tie and run. Santander ties the game, 6-6. And I'm looking at myself. I'm like, no way. There's just no way. And Red Sox lose 6-7, 7-6. Just absolutely abysmal. Game after, Red Sox couldn't hit. But they were up, I think, in the bottom of the 8th. Vladdy hits a 3-run homer. Go ahead. Red Sox lose. So it went from the Red Sox hopefully winning that series to losing that series. Awful. Then the Red Sox go home for homestand with the Twins and the Rangers. I was at the game on Sunday against the Twins. Red Sox won 6-1 on the Friday night game. Much needed great outing. I believe it was by Bayo. Saturday's game, Hunter Dobbins pitched because Walker Buehler which we have not mentioned, is also on the IL. He's dealing right now with some shoulder stuff. I don't think it's going to be major, but that was obviously one of the risks coming into the season with Buehler, of course, was that injury risk. So Dobbins is pitching on Saturday. He pitched okay, but Roger Clemens' son had a homer, and that unfortunately was the difference. Red Sox dropped the Saturday game 4-3. Then the game I was at, so they had to take this series, right? Nope. The Red Sox, actually the first pitch of the game, Ryan, Byron Buxton against Garrett Crochet. Yes, I did see a Crochet game, finally. First pitch, though, homer of the monster by Byron Buxton. I said, you got kidding me. You got kidding me. But thankfully the Red Sox finally got things going. Well, I was actually not in my seat because I was kind of going off of the rain. Narvaez, 2-run single, up 2-1. Romy, my homie, sac fly. Red Sox up 3-1. But then the bullpen did bullpen implosion type of things like they did all of last week. 2-out single by Jeffers, made it 3-3. And then the Red Sox with 2 outs in the 8th. Your old guy, Harrison Bader, double off the wall. Made it 4-3. Larnach single 5-3. Abreu did it a homer in the bottom of the 8th, made it 5-4. But then Johan Duran came in, and his stuff right in person is just absolutely terrifying. You cannot. You just hope specifically that guys be able to just foul this guy off. I mean, he is terrifying pitching live. So yeah, that was that. Red Sox lose 5-4. First game in the Texas series, Red Sox had none of their bats going. Who was pitching? Oh, Nathan Eovaldi. Nathan Eovaldi doing Nathan Eovaldi type of things, just shutting the Red Sox down like nobody else's business on a rainy, bad day. Red Sox lose 6-1. And then I didn't really see the middle part of the game because I was seeing the Celtics implode once against the Knicks in Game 2. But the Red Sox won the Wednesday game 6-4. Willier hit 2 homers. Willier continues to obviously rake against Texas for some odd reason. He just takes them personal. And then yesterday in the afternoon slate, Red Sox probably with one of their best pitching performances against the Rangers. We talked about the Rangers' consistency offensively, but this is, of course, now if there's any time to take advantage of that. And the Red Sox did 5-0. Rafael Devers homer. Red Sox did go under 500 for a game, but they're now back over 500. They're 20-19. They have a road trip right now against some of the AL Central type of teams. So we got to essentially kind of do what you guys do and dominate the AL Central on the road. We go to Kansas City this weekend, and then we go to Detroit. So we have to hopefully kind of get things going, but those are 2 extremely tough places, 2 teams that are playing really, really well. But hopefully I would love to see at least a split. At least go and at least win one of them. I'm not expecting us to win probably both, but definitely at least go. I'm going to go 3-3, and that's all I ask. Because right now the Red Sox actually, which is kind of embarrassing, have had one of the more easier stretches so far of the season, and they're still 500. So it's just a lot of inconsistency, a lot of frustration. But they're pretty much right there. They're still in second place. They're 2 games back of you guys. So we're still right there. But definitely want to kind of get this ball rolling here. It's kind of like when you're on the bike, when you're going to go on the bike ride, it's like, yeah, I'm ready to go, but there's something just kind of looking back, but I really just want to kind of take off, and they haven't yet. But that's my team report, Ryan. Red Sox 2019, not great, but definitely okay. So I'm going to go to you now with Grace.
Yeah, so the Yankees, kind of similar to you guys, have been relatively inconsistent for the past couple of weeks. And they just finished up a homestand where they only won 3-3 against the Rays and the Padres. So kind of a frustrating homestand. I would have liked to have had a winning homestand. Any team would like to have a winning homestand. The Yankees lost 2 out of 3 to the Rays over last weekend, which I think is absolutely disgraceful. I don't think the Rays are that good of a team. I don't think the Yankees have any business losing a series to the Rays, especially at home. And, the Yanks took game 1 of that series last Friday, May 2nd, by the score of 3-0. The only scoring in that game was courtesy of a 3-run home run by Paul Goldschmidt and another masterful performance by Max Fried, who is really making a case to win the American League Cy Young Award this year, like you predicted.
Yep.
So, we'll see.
Looking better than ever now, especially after Garrett Cole going down, which of course nobody wanted to see. But he's been pitching even better than maybe we even expected.
he's exceeded my expectations. I knew Fried was good, but
Yeah.
I didn't expect him to be pitching like this.
Yeah.
I always thought he was kind of like a number 2 or number 3 guy, but right now he's filling in admirably for Cole right now. So the Yankees surely wouldn't be where they are without Max Fried.
6-0. I didn't even realize he hasn't lost yet.
Yankees have not lost to start with Max Fried on the mound.
1.105 ERA, Ryan. That's just gross.
He's been awesome. He's been awesome.
I knew he was pitching well, but I was not expecting 6-0.
No, he's been that damn good. He's been awesome. He's so freaking good for us, and thank God, because we need it. So the Yankees won last Friday 3-0. Then they dropped a tough one on Saturday, May 3rd, 3-2. They blew another late inning lead. Mark Leiter came in and had trouble getting out of trouble. Anthony Volpe made another critical error late in the game. He's had a tendency to do that. He just makes errors at the worst possible time. He's got to fix his defense up late in games. He almost had an injury scare too. That game where he dove for a single and kind of hyperextended his. It may have been his throwing elbow. I think
Trevor's shoulder or Trevor's story vibes. That's what I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he stayed in the game and then proceeded to make the error, trying to turn a double play. The Yankees went on to lose that game 3-2. Then Sunday was just a complete disaster. The Yankees pitching was abysmal. Will Warren and Carlos Carrasco had absolutely nothing.
Carlos Carrasco's DFA now.
Carrasco got DFA'd, but Will Warren just has not been good at all for the Yankees this year. And I think it's time you got to send this kid back to the minor leagues. He clearly doesn't have the stuff right now to compete at Major League Baseball. I mean, we saw it last year, and he has not shown me he really hasn't shown any signs of improvement this year. I mean, the Yankees fell behind that game by as much as 7-2. They eventually cut it to 7-5 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Aaron Boone kind of made a questionable decision not to pinch hit J.C. Escarra that game with the bases loaded. Instead, he let Escarra hit in a bases loaded, nobody out situation, and Escarra proceeds to ground into a double play. So Boone had to answer for the media there. He gave one of his classic Boone answers. I don't remember what he said exactly off the top of my head, but it was one of his classic Boone answers, basically saying, "No, this is the way that I was going to go the whole time." So that was fun. Losing 2 out of 3 to a very mediocre Rays team. I hate the Rays so freaking much. I really hate them. I really hate them so much. They're like a mosquito. I just want to plunk them. I just want the Yankees to plunk them and just tell them and just make them go away. But they do from time to time just become a thorn in your side. So
it's like you would think to go away, but they always come back, and they have guys like Zach Littell, Ryan, who pitched 7 innings, who I think coming into that game was like 2-4, but you just know for a fact that these guys can just go off against any team any given day or night, which is just their lab is just it needs to be studied. It really just has got to be.
And I also cannot stand Kevin Cash either. So yes, the Yankees lost 2 out of 3 to the Rays. Then the Padres came to town for a 3-game set beginning Monday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And the Yankees took a 3-0 lead into the top of the 8th inning, and they brought in Devin Williams. Williams continued to struggle. He gave up 2 walks and a single. Loaded the bases with 2 outs. Aaron Boone took out Devin Williams, brought in Luke Weaver, and Weaver, for the first time all year, got touched. The Padres lit him up, put up a 4 spot in the top of the 8th, and the Padres stole the first game of the series 4-3. And that was another crushing loss for the Yankees. Another game they should have won. The Yankees, by far, I think that was their 5th loss already this season. When they had a lead going into the 8th inning, I think, or something like that. They by far lead Major League Baseball in losing a lead late in games. So then came the next day, May 6th, and this time the Padres took the lead 3-2 going into the bottom of the 7th inning behind a strong pitching performance by Mike King, who made his return to Yankee Stadium. And King pitched pretty well. And the Yankees didn't really have much of an answer for him. Clark Schmidt, though, matched him for the most part. And, it was a back-and-forth contest up until the bottom of the 7th when the Padres went ahead 3-2. And honestly, going into the bottom of the 7th inning, you're thinking to yourself, great, this game looks like it's over. Because the Yankees, all year up to that point, had never really responded late in games. They always went down very weakly late in games, like 1, 2, 3 innings, never really put up much of a fight. And it was very easy for the opposing team to put the game away. And the Padres probably had the best bullpen in baseball. I think they had the best bullpen in baseball going into this series. So I wasn't really feeling good going into that inning. Yeah. And then out of complete nowhere, the Yankees exploded for 10 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning. Capped off by a grand slam by Austin Wells. So that was a pleasant sight to see. The Yankees won that game 12-3, setting up the rubber match against the Padres on Wednesday. It was a battle between Max Fried and Dylan Cease. Max Fried gave up a rare home run to Jackson Merrill, who just hit an absolute bomb off of him into the Yankee bullpen. Jackson Merrill came off the injured list and just torched us.
Of course. He's a stud.
Completely torched us this series. Dylan Cease took a no-hitter into the bottom of the 7th inning. That was broken up thanks in part to a bomb of a home run by Cody Bellinger, who looks like he's finally starting to wake up a little bit here. Took him long enough. The Padres, though, regained the lead in the top of the 8th inning. The Yankee bullpen continues to be shaky. Ian Hamilton continues to be a walk machine. And Luke Weaver couldn't put out the fire again. So the Padres went ahead 3-1 going into the bottom of the 8th inning. But once again, the marvelous mustachioed man, Trent freaking Grisham, 2-run home run into the second deck in right field to tie the game at 3. And the game eventually went into extra innings. The Padres out in extra innings, obviously, start with the ghost runner at second base. The Yankees, who do they bring in the 10th inning? Devin freaking Williams. And unlike on Monday when he crumbled, he actually got it done this time. He struck out the side, and it was not an easy task. He struck out some tough hitters. He struck out Fernando Tatis. He struck out Manny Machado, and he struck out Xander Bogaerts. He struck out the side in the top of the 8th with the bases loaded. So that was definitely
Houdini.
Definitely Devin Williams' defining moment as a Yankee so far this season, by far. So you hope that gets him going, and you hope that turns the season around. I hope to God it does.
Right.
He's kind of done this before where he, shows
it's like a tease.
He shows some brilliance and then goes back to just being utter garbage.
Yeah.
But I hope to God this gives him the confidence to actually pitch in New York, because he's looked like a deer in headlights ever since coming over to the Yankees.
Yeah.
So but by far biggest moment of his Yankee career. And the Yankees eventually walked it off in the bottom of the 10th on a sacrifice fly by J.C. Escarra, his first career walk-off. It wasn't a hit, it was a sack fly, but first career walk-off. Yep. And the Yankees ended up taking 2 out of 3 from a very tough Padres team. So,
they're really good.
Yes, so, that's a good series for the Yankees. Obviously, you would have liked them to have, done better against Tampa, but it is what it is. The Yankees are 21-16 right now, first place in the AL East. The AL East has kind of been the weakest division in baseball. So
who would have thought?
It's been awful. Really bad. And the Yankees, honestly, they should be better than 21-16. They've blown too many games already so far this season, so it's been very frustrating. But hopefully they start to get more consistent. But they have kind of a tough road trip this weekend. They go on the West Coast for the first time this year. They have 3 in Sacramento this weekend against the A's. And then they have 3 in Seattle against the Mariners.
Ooh.
So
both of our teams got some tough road trips ahead.
Yeah, and the A's have been pretty good. The A's look like they're back. And I kind of predicted that they would come back this season. I don't know if they'll be good enough to make the playoffs still. I'm kind of in the middle of that, kind of ambivalent, but it could happen. I wouldn't be entirely shocked, honestly, if they did, but the A's are no slouch, and neither are the Mariners. So it's going to be a tough road trip for the Yanks.
All right, so that's pretty much all from the surprises and takeaways from the first month. including our team reports as well too, like we always do. So Ryan, we have to get into our final segment as usual. Who is hot and who is not? I know, of course, we missed last week, so there might be potentially somebody that's been turning up from last week that we might put in. But I'm just kind of looking around right now, Ryan, and a lot of the guys I'm just kind of seeing. I'm going to go with one of my guys because I think he should show some love, and that's Alex Bregman. Alex Bregman, I think, like you mentioned, if it wasn't for Alex Bregman, I don't know if the Red Sox would be over 500, let alone, the amount that they are right now. Alex Bregman, I think, just hit his 200th career, I think it was.
Yes, 200 home run.
So, yeah, I'm going to show my guy some love after having that. His swing is pretty much was anticipated. His swing is made for Fenway Park. And his defense has really done a lot better. Bregman currently right now is a 318 average, a 392 OBP, and a 596 slug. So, yeah, I mean, he's doing great. And somebody that I want to give some love, Ryan, because he hit Mason Miller on a walk-off homer, which I don't think many guys can do. Kyle Stowers from Miami Marlins. He had 2 homers in their game against the A's, including a come-from-behind walk-off win against Mason Miller on like 103-mile fastball. So you talk about just impressive. You're going to go with Bregman and Kyle Stowers. Who is not? Man, I hate doing this one because, I don't know. It's just I'm going to go to you first with who's hot, and then I'm going to go to my who's not after. I got to take a look really quick at this.
All right, so I don't know if we did this guy last time or not, but for me, who's not, and we're seeing him this weekend in Sacramento, Jacob Wilson of the A's. This guy's been on an absolute tear recently. He's hitting almost 500 in his last 7 games, and he is just killing everybody right now. And I mean, his overall stats right now this season, he's hitting 357. Only has 3 home runs, but he has 21 runs batted in, and he's got an 859 OPS. And he really has been the catalyst for the A's this season, and he has just broken out. And it's going to be a tough task for the Yanks. I mean, he's just been red hot, and he's kind of been, I think, the big reason why the A's have been able to turn it around this season on offense. The A's offense is pretty deadly if you let them beat you. I mean, sometimes it can be hot or cold, but honestly, the ball flies out of that ballpark in Sacramento, so that's another concern that I have going into this series. But Jacob Wilson has been terrific for the A's. He has just been on fire, and like I said, he's been hitting almost 500 in his last 7 games. He's got 6 runs batted in, 14 hits, and 29 at bats. And he's only struck out, and he's not even striking out. He's only struck out once in that span too. Wow. So he's putting the bat on the ball. So the Yankees are going to have their hands full with him and the A's when they come to town this weekend. So yeah, Jacob Wilson is who is hot for me. I don't know if you picked him.
No, I didn't. No, that's a good choice. I was thinking about him though.
Yeah, so yeah, Jacob Wilson is who is hot for me. Oh, who's hot?
I got my who's not. When you're done.
You go first. I gotta see who's not.
My who's not right now. It's from the Atlanta Braves, and that is Matt Olson. What has happened to Matt Olson? This guy used to be one of the most feared hitters a couple of years ago in baseball. And, I mean, we talk about maybe slow starts here and there, but I'm just looking at Matt Olson right now, Ryan. 229 average, 6 homers, 20 RBIs. This was a guy, I believe, let me see, 223. So 2023, yeah. So within 2 years ago, Ryan, he almost hit 60 homers, and he had a 993 OPS. Right now, he's 229 average with a 771 OPS. The guy is, I'm not saying the guy is clearly falling off, but it's like, what happened to him?
This is a guy who had 54 home runs just a couple of years ago.
2023. He is essentially, his OPS was almost 1,000 2 years ago. And yeah, something's off there with that. Because if he can get going, I mean, that just takes the Braves to another level, and he's just not doing it. And then Adley Rutschman from the Baltimore Orioles, like we talked about with him. Rutschman is a guy specifically that usually is great on both sides, and he is just not getting it done. I don't know if he's playing hurt, if there's something going on there, but he's not doing well right now. Right now, currently, Ryan, he is 210 average with a 658 OPS, 345 slug. So, yeah, that's, he had a 250 average last year, so maybe he can kind of get it going. But 34 games is kind of a pretty decent sample size at this point in time. This is not obviously now a slump. So, yeah, I'm going to go Ali Rutschman and Matt Olson as my who is not for this week.
All right, so for my who's not, I'm going to go with a pitcher, and it's a guy we've kind of brought up from time to time going into the trade deadline as a possibility of a trade candidate. Sandy Alcantara. He's been terrible. He's been absolutely terrible. He's got an ERA of 8.42. It's he's having a hard time getting back into the swing of things coming off his Tommy John surgery. And like I said, he was a name that I still think he could be a trade deadline piece. I think teams could probably work on him and try and straighten him out.
Yeah,
I still think he's going to get traded, but still, that's not necessarily the prettiest sight to look at. An 8.42 earned run average, not good at all. So yeah, Sandy Alcantara has not been hot for me.
All right, well, that'll do it, folks. Thank you guys for watching episode 68 of Heading for the Cycle. We will see you guys all next week.